Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel, or as it's better known, Planet What the Fuck Did I Just Watch? As it's been the last few weeks. First things first, just wanted to say a massive welcome back to Chris. I know I said this last week, but he published his first video in quite a while last week, which was brilliant. He's back to his usual self. I think it was a review of The Ring, which he just watched. Which I saw many moons ago. Really enjoyed. But yeah, brilliant to have you back on the videos, mate. You said there's going to be loads more on the run up to Christmas, so we're all looking forward to seeing what you've got for us. But as I say, it's just brilliant to have you back, doing what you do best. So, let's see, where do I start? Last week, this first bit is inspired by something that Mark said. He did happen to mention that he got a copy of Gremlins, which has been by his TV for about 3 years, which inspired me to look under my television to see what I'd got under mine, and it's more than one DVD, I'm afraid. So by popular demand, which I think is about 2 comments, I'm going to show you what is actually under my television. Now this might take a few minutes because unlike Mark, who's got one Blu-ray or DVD, I've got quite a few. So I'll just pop this string down and I'll just run through these very quickly, because I'm sure it's not that interesting what I've got under there. But let's see. The first is a couple of books that I've obviously bought and thought I'll come back to them, so I'll stick them under the TV. First one, Tough Shit, which is Kevin Smith's life advice from a fat lazy slob who did good. So I've not started that yet, surprisingly enough. Another one, Slade in 1969. I spotted this on Amazon and thought that looks a good read, and it's got all sorts in it. You've got sort of advertisements of concerts, lots of pictures, ticket stubs, record labels, all that sort of thing. I think it's just a dip into book, that one. And this one, Think You Know British Cinema, Think Again. This is called Offbeat. This is an absolute catalogue of all the sort of obscure oddities of British cinema. Movies like, if I can pick some off, Bronco Bullfrog. I've actually seen that, and it's actually not a bad film. Permissive from 1970. Let's see, Charlie Bubbles from 1967. Don't know any of these, which is why I wanted this book to kind of introduce me to. That's one I think that that Jason's seen. The Sandwich Man, I think you know that one. But that's a cracking book. I do dip into that one quite a bit. And also, I used to love this series, Eat Well for Less, Happy and Healthy. It's just a cult book. And then there were a load of magazines, because obviously I buy magazines and have a flip through, stick them under the TV because that's where they live. Vive le Rock, which is kind of a 70s sort of mock-up of. I'll just quickly flip through this. I won't be doing this with all of them, but there's all sorts in there. There's Bowie, Bay City Rollers, all that kind of thing. I've got another one on the Sex Pistols, massive Sex Pistols fan. Magazine on the Stones. Magazine on Jean-Luc Godard. I believe that's a Sight and Sound special. One of the French New Wave directors. Horror, The Ultimate Celebration. I think I bought this last Halloween. I've not read it yet, so that'll go back under the TV. A special issue of Starburst. You got all sorts in there, just sci-fi stuff. The Bowie Years Volume 1. I've got to try and find the Bowie Years Volume 2 actually, because I bought this one about a year ago as well, so I'm sure there's a Volume 2 out. Magazine on Cult Classics. The Witches, Flash Gordon, Escape from New York, etc, etc. An issue of Cinema Retro, which I do subscribe to, and another issue of Cinema Retro, and let's see, Sight and Sound, Why do I not put these where they should be, which is, I don't know, in binders or something. Another one on Jean-Luc Godard. The Godfather at 50, that's a special. Let's see, that's a Bowie special from Sight and Sound. And also 90 years of Sight and Sound, an anniversary special. That's all the magazines that were up there, as if that wasn't enough. And then there's all these Blu-rays and DVDs, which I will rattle through quite quickly. The series of Planet of the Apes, not the movies. When I finished the watching the 5 originals, I thought I really wouldn't mind having a look at the series, so I dragged that one down. This one I bought a while ago and I've not watched it yet. No surprise there, I know. Jackie Chan, Heart of Dragon. This is one Dave Lowe recommended to me. I've seen the trailer to it. It looks really good, just not really got round to watching the movie yet. I think this is actually Rob's, it's not mine. The Young Doctors. This is a selection of episodes from a 70s soap, an Australian soap that used to be on every lunchtime. What else have I got here? Chaplin at Keystone. This represents the beginning of my Chaplin journey, which I started probably 3-4 months ago and watched one of these. They're only 12 minutes long, so there's no excuse for not having watched the rest of them. The Virgin Suicides, that was one that was recommended to me that I've not watched yet. Stardust, they reckon that's really good. I'd have no recollection of where I got this one from. Le Boucher, I presume it's a French film. It was free by the look of it with The Independent. Catch 22 on DVD, never seen it but always wanted to watch it. The Young Eagles, which is one of those 1930s serials that they used to put on before movies in cinemas, a la Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, that kind of thing, Dick Tracy. To Kill a Mockingbird, I actually bought this on Blu-ray a while ago, so I'm not really sure why I've still got that one. Season 1 of The Fall Guy, which I bought recently and haven't started yet. Guy, I know you're going to bollock me for that, but here you go. Fast Times at Ridgemont High. This one was recommended to me by David Mansell. He's going to bollock me for not watching that one. Tomb of the Cybermen. I got one episode in with this and kind of abandoned it, but I do fully intend to go back to it hopefully later today. Life on Mars. Is this series 2? So this is the one we're supposed to be moving on to soon, before we move on to the other one, Ashes to Ashes, but not got round to it yet. The Underwater Menace. This is another Doctor Who animated adventure, mostly because obviously all the episodes are lost. I did watch, I believe, the first one of these. Wasn't overly impressed, so never sort of progressed with it, but I will watch the rest of it. A very, very nice, oh Jesus, sorry, Hitchcock box set, and you've got loads in here. I can't read the writing because it's so, there's loads. Rope, Trouble with Harry, Frenzy, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, The Birds, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Psycho. Loads of his classics. Touch of Evil, that was recommended to me. The Man from Hong Kong, that was supposed to be part of my Australian journey, which is yet to begin. Let's see. Oh, The Osmonds live in Up Close and Personal, the final tour. It would be the final tour because I think most of them are in their 70s now. I did actually see these live at the Royal Concert Hall in Nottingham. They were absolutely magnificent, and I gotta say, even though these are way before Rob's time, he loved them, absolutely loved them. What he said to me in the car on the way back was I couldn't get over the harmonies, they were pitch perfect, so well impressed with that. Not watched it yet though. And finally, I'm copying you, Jason, on this one. I'm going on a Bond journey, so I got this one down a few days ago, so I'm going to start right at the beginning with Doctor No. Right, I'm going to take a quick break, so I can put all of this back. I'll come back and start on the comments. Back in a sec. And we're back. Right, that basically demonstrates how completely disorganised I am. I really do need to get things sorted. I've just got stuff everywhere, so yeah, that pretty much demonstrates exactly what I mean. I wasn't actually going to do a video this morning. I'll tell you for why. I did say last week that I was working last weekend, which I was, but I finished a bit earlier than I thought I would. Came home and made some notes, thrown all this together. So I'm hoping it comes out all right. But that is the main thing with me. I do all of the notes and the planning and the cutting and pasting of comments, usually on a Saturday morning, while I've got my wits about me. And obviously with working yesterday, I didn't have a chance to do that. So I thought, just to basically cover my arse, I'll just say that I'm not going to do one tomorrow. And if I do get to do one, it could be hopefully a pleasant surprise for you. That's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, that's what happened there. Right, let's see, where are we? Let's get into this. We'll start with comments. I've got a couple from Sam. Sam's on a social media break at the moment for about a month. He'll be back in December to take part in the Christmas festivities, such as they are. But I've got a couple of comments for him. One from a video a couple of weeks ago. We kind of missed the boat on that one, so I've carried it over, as I always do. Let's see. So, I was at the Halloween Tyneside Cinema all-nighter, and it was so much fun, even though I was absolutely shattered afterwards. I don't think I could do it, Sam. I'm fairly sure I would not be able to stay awake for the whole thing. And I know a lot of people, especially on the Pure Cinema podcast, the New Beverly Cinema in Los Angeles, they run regular horror all-nighters, and all-nighters of all sorts, and a couple of them have said that they're just at the age now where they just can't stay awake beyond 11 o'clock. I'm lucky if I say 8 o'clock nowadays, so a cinema all-nighter, I'd probably be asleep before it even started. But hats off to you for that. Had a power nap afterwards, and I needed more than that, much needed. Hoping to do a video on my experience with the Tyneside all-nighter and share my thoughts on each film I saw in that quadruple bill. Now, you've done that video, but I've not had a chance to watch it yet. I need to catch up on yours and everybody else's videos, Stuart's, Roy's, Steve, our Criterion guy, everybody. I've got quite a few to catch up on. And I know I say this every week, but I promise this week I will get some watched, because obviously I'm going to need some stuff to talk about next week. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one about the Tyneside, because I think I mentioned to you quite a while ago that I would love for you to do a video on a visit to the Tyneside. So I wouldn't mind taking a look at that Woodfall set at some point, Tone. Some of those British films I have heard of but haven't seen. I've not seen The Entertainer, but I know Roy is pretty fond of that film. I know because I saw one of his videos where he was showing that one off, and he was really, really impressed with it. It's a cracking set, Sam. It really is. I think I was showing it off last week. But yeah, you definitely want that in your life, I promise you. I got it for a really good price. I think I just caught it right. But I think usually it's about probably a 50 or 60 quid, but it is so worth it. The amount of extras, it would take you a week just to get through all the documentaries and the little videos that are on there, let alone the films. I watched Silence of the Lambs for the first time earlier in the week and thought it was excellent. Some of the best acting I've ever seen. You can tell Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster were born to play those lead roles. Sublime performances right there. It's a classic. It's an absolute classic. And when people say that they've not seen stuff from the early 90s, I do tend to forget how old I am and how old they are when I say, "What, you've not seen that?" But yeah, Silence of the Lambs, absolutely brilliant. The key films I want to include in the remainder of my horror marathon is John Carpenter's The Fog, brilliant, absolutely superb. Just don't bother with the remake. Trick or Treat, and seeing the first Elm Street film at Tyneside on Tuesday. That's going to be an experience. I believe Stuart saw that just recently on the big screen. I think it's on one of the comments a bit later on, actually. Yeah, that's going to be something special on the big screen, absolutely. Also watching the original Evil Dead before I go to see Evil Dead 2 on Thursday the 31st. Both brilliant. I'm also taking in a double bill of Nosferatu from 1922, and it's spelled Vampyr. I thought it was pronounced vampire, but apparently it's a German film, it's pronounced vampire. but it is about vampires. Both on the Eureka label, and as always, like every 31st of October, my favourite ever horror film, The Shining. Doesn't get much better than that. As for Nosferatu and Vampire, they're both on BFI player, so I will be taking both of those in. I just don't know when, but I will be, most definitely, because I've wanted to see Nosferatu for quite a while. I've not heard of Vampire, but I have now because I've listened to a couple of podcasts where they talk about it, and it sounds a brilliant movie. Classic of silent cinema. I did watch the trailer to both of them, and also Kermode's review of both. Apparently, it was a double bill at the old Scala. Let's see, that was before it moved to King's Cross. I must show off, actually, my Scala book. Out of curiosity, Sam, what would you class, and this will go for all of you actually, what would you class as your favourite ever, or your prized possession as far as a film book goes? Mine is my Scala book, which is behind me. It's so big you can probably see it. But I will try and get it out and do a proper flip through of it, because it's an absolutely magnificent piece of work. It cost me 80 quid, and I believe they've now reprinted it for 40. So that stung a bit. Look forward to the Christmas related vids, Tone. Cracking quadruple bill you chose as your Halloween all-nighter there, Tony. Great lineup of films. Love The Omen and Rosemary's Baby is excellent. Both classics. Keep up the fantastic work as ever, Tony, mate, and hope you had a great weekend and a great week ahead. Thanks so much for the kind words, bud. You are more than welcome. I love your channel. Then on to this week's comment from Tom. Not Tom. Sam. Oh, duh. Great video as always, Tone. Cheers, Sam. Quadrophenia is absolutely fantastic, mate. I'd love to see a 4K edition of that one day. Seen it countless times, and it really defines great British cinema. Love the album from The Who as well. I love the album. I love the movie. And I was only thinking the other day, it must be due for a 4K release. It must be. It's just a classic of British cinema, and how could that one ever get missed? So yeah, I'm hoping that somebody will pick it up and give it the proper treatment that it deserves. Day of the Dead is fantastic, mate. Definitely my favourite one in the Dead trilogy from Romero. Would highly recommend that one, Tone. Had such a great time with the trilogy last month. I need to watch Day of the Dead. I really do. This is the one that everybody seems to be citing as their favourite in the Dead. It's not really a trilogy because there's about 6 of them now, isn't there? But the Dead series, the Romero Dead series. So yes, I do need to take a look at that. I just bought 4 titles in the Criterion 40% sale. I didn't know they got one on. I must go over and have a look at that. They are The Breakfast Club, brilliant, superb. Risky Business, one of Tom Cruise's very early films, but brilliant. All That Money Can Buy. Not familiar with that one. Dogfight, I've heard of that. This is River Phoenix, isn't it? Plus pre-ordered the 4K Criterion of Godzilla from 1954. What's your thoughts on these, bud? Breakfast Club is just a stone cold classic. I know I use that term a lot, but that really is a stone cold classic. It's one of the movies that defines the Brat Pack, as they were. It was just brilliant. John Hughes films are just infinitely watchable. Risky Business, as I say, that was one of Tom Cruise's very early roles, where he basically turns his parents' house into a brothel while they're on holiday, and all of the chaos that ensues from that. Really, really good. All That Money Can Buy. Is this the one to do with the kidnapping of somebody? Wasn't Kevin Spacey supposed to be in it? And I think he was, but he was replaced by Christopher Plummer, I believe, when all of this sex scandal broke out. I'm sure that's the one. And Dogfight, it's River Phoenix and a group of sailors basically going out on the town on shore leave and trying to pick up the ugliest girl they can find, which I thought was actually quite cruel. It's a cruel storyline, that. I've not seen the film. It's not really one that I would feel comfortable watching. But then again, challenge Tony. Plus pre-ordered the 4K, Godzilla 1954. Yes, absolutely. I've never seen it, the original Japanese version, isn't it? I've never seen that one, and I would love to see it, and I did notice it was being released sometime in November, so there's a very good chance I'll also be grabbing a copy of that one, mate. Um, I just done my 10 movies I love to watch at autumn video, Tony. Is there any films you love to watch at the autumnal time of year? Let me leave that one with me, mate. That's a question I'll carry over to next week. I need to think about that one, and I will also catch up on that video, which may give me some ideas. Um, Talking of Star Trek, whilst I don't think The Final Frontier is a particularly good film, it's a movie I do have a soft spot for, and it has a certain charm to it. Scotty is so comical in that film. His scenes make me chuckle. I can't remember much about it. It's probably one of the Star Trek movies I've only seen once, and that would have been when it first came out, so it probably was on VHS. But I have got a Star Trek box set on Blu-ray upstairs, which includes the magnificent Star Trek the Motion Picture, which certain people just absolutely bloody hate. Um, but yeah, I do need to watch The Final Frontier again. I don't think I'm going to think it's that bad. Need to get back onto my Star Trek binge. I got up to Insurrection. Had such a great time with this film series indeed. I certainly will do, absolutely. Hope you're having a great weekend, Tone. Keep up the awesome work as ever, and thanks as ever for the shout out. And I totally agree. Roy is a fantastic guy in the film community. Take care, Tony, and look forward to next Saturday's blog. Thanks ever so much, Sam. Brilliant to hear from you as always. Enjoy your little hiatus from social media. He's still going to be doing his videos. I think he's just leaving Facebook and Instagram and all that for a bit, which I honestly can't blame him for. As I've said before, if it wasn't for the film group and all the brilliant people that I know on here, the members, I don't think I'd bother with Facebook at all. It's just not my thing. But I would certainly never let this group go, never in a million years. So yeah, I'll be back again next week, Sam, as I'm sure you know. David Mansell. Morning, Dave. What are some of your favourite films of all time and least favourite films you have in your collection? Now, this is a question you posed probably 2-3 weeks ago, and I've been putting it off, and yesterday I thought, let's have a look and see what we've got. So, first off, I'll run through my favourites. Now, you guys will know these pretty much off by heart. You'll pretty much, if I give you sort of 10 seconds, you will name the first 5. So, but David probably hasn't seen these, so I'm just going to rattle them off very, very quickly. Close Encounters, which is easily my favourite film of all time and one of the most magnificent sci-fi movies ever. Directed by Spielberg, to do with first contact with extraterrestrials. I didn't get it the first time I saw it. I actually went to see it a second time, and it clicked, and I loved it. And I think I saw it something like 15 times in 3 weeks at Burton Odeon. Spent a fortune going to see this, but it was so worth it. And if they do re-release it as a 50th anniversary edition, which is in probably about 3 years, I think that is one that will absolutely tempt me back to the cinema if I've not been tempted back already by something else. But that is easily my number one. These are in no particular order, by the way. Straw Dogs, the ultimate home invasion movie. It's not a genre I'm particularly fond of, due to what happened to me a few years ago when we were basically burgled while we were asleep. And the first thing I knew was Rob waking me up saying, I think we've been burgled. I can hear your car driving off. My car used to make a distinctive sound when you started it up. And sure enough, we've been burgled. So home invasion movies do actually seriously unnerve me for that very reason. And no, yes, they did catch them in the end. Next one. Saturday Night Fever, the best disco movie ever, with the most awesome soundtrack by the Bee Gees, Tavares, all that sort of thing. This would easily make my number 2 spot. The Devils, Ken Russell's The Devils. I've been trying to pluck up the courage to watch this one again. I saw it. It is absolutely magnificent as a film. It caused such a stink with the censors when it first came out. This would have been 1971. And I've got a couple of books upstairs that sort of taught you through all the trouble that it had with the violence and the sex scenes, and a lot of it was to do with religion. Apparently Warner Brothers hold the rights to this now, and there are a lot of people leading a campaign to get a proper uncut Blu-ray or 4K release of this. But Warner's will not let it go. They hate the film, they loathe it, but they will not allow it to be distributed, probably under their banner. So it's very unlikely we'll see any other edition of The Devils apart from this one. But if you've not seen it, this is like a sucker punch to the gut when you first watch it. There are certain scenes that I still remember now. I haven't seen this in years, but it's definitely one of my favourite films. But it's a hard watch, tough watch. And finally, for my top 5 anyway, A Clockwork Orange. I can't believe I missed this out of the last time I did a top 10. I didn't realise until I watched it back and I thought, where's A Clockwork Orange? Absolutely brilliant. My first experience of this was with a bootleg copy that I purchased from France when I went to Paris years and years and years ago. And I found a bootleg copy over there. Didn't realise at the time, because I wasn't over there for long, that it had actually been released perfectly legally over there, and I could have had a perfectly good copy of it, but I didn't know. But I got this bootleg copy, which was not bad quality wise, but as soon as it got released, when the ban was lifted on the movie, I purchased a copy straight away. I've got probably 3 or 4 different versions of this now on Blu-ray. I believe this is a 4K Ultra HD, which I've not watched yet, but I definitely intend to watch it. So that is my top 5. Now I've got. You also asked me about my least favourites. I wouldn't say these are my least favourite. These are just ones that I question why I bought them in the first place. The first one I bought fairly recently, and I can't remember who recommended it to me, but I bought it and then proceeded to read some of the reviews of it and thought, oh my God, I don't think I'm going to make it through this. The Raid and The Raid 2. Now, somebody told me this week that they thought this was some kind of a zombie apocalypse thing, but it's not. Does it even say here? A rookie member of an elite special forces team is instructed to hang back during a covert operation, but when a spotter blows their cover, a crime boss offers lifelong sanctuary to every killer, gangster and thief in the building in exchange for their heads. Yeah. This has been described as a bone-crunching nightmare. So when I read all that and some of the other reviews, I thought, you're not going to make it through that, but I will watch it. I will watch it before I dispose of it. Next one. This might come as a bit of a surprise because I did enjoy the movie, but I didn't get it, and I don't think anybody gets this. But it's one of those that I bought, and when I got it, I thought, well, you're not going to make any more sense of it the second time round, but I'll give it a go at some point. Shutter Island. Really, really good. Very watchable. DiCaprio's absolutely superb, as he always is. Who directed this? Scorsese. So maybe I could give it another go. Maybe I was just watching it on the wrong day or at the wrong time. I don't know. But I absolutely did not get the ending to it. I can't remember what it was, but I do remember coming out of it sort of scratching my head thinking, what the fuck was that? But that's another one that I wasn't entirely sure why I bought it again. This one I've been looking forward to for so long. I loved the original, absolutely adored it. I thought this was mad, this was bonkers, but it was enjoyable, but it's one of those that I probably won't watch again, but I shall keep it for the moment. The Meg 2, The Trench. I just remember watching it and thinking, this is not the Meg that I expected. I'm hoping we can go back to what the Meg is about when they do a third, which I believe is in the works at the moment. But this was a Christmas present from last year, probably last year, so I don't want to sound too ungrateful. But it's just one that I watched and thought, yeah, not bad. And finally, one that absolutely bust my brain when I watched this. I do need to take another look at it because somebody did say to me, just watch it closely and it will all fit into place. Inception. I remember watching it, and it's to do with dreams, isn't it, if I remember right? And it had scenes of a dream within a dream, which I just about managed to hold on to, and then it went from a dream within a dream within a dream, and that's where it completely lost me. The visuals are absolutely brilliant, but the reason I bought this, somebody recommended another movie by the same director. Oh, I'll tell you who it is in a minute. It's him in it, Christopher Nolan. And I happened to mention that I'd not seen that many Christopher Nolan films, so I went on a bit of a binge, a bit like I did with Melissa McCarthy last week, and bought probably 5 or 6 of his movies. This was one of them because I thought it deserved a second chance, but I'm actually in no hurry to put this on again, because my brain was just scrambled by the end of it. But who knows? Maybe if I'm a little more alert one day, I shall pop this on and see. So I wouldn't say they're my least favourite films. They're probably the least likely to watch sort of straight away. If I had to pick a movie, and I couldn't find this, I've got it upstairs somewhere. If I had to pick a movie that I would say is my least favourite movie in my collection, I would class it as the original version of The Last House on the Left, which I watched probably a couple of months ago. It hasn't lost any of its power. It is still as vile and horrible as it was the first time I saw it, when it got caught up in the whole video nasty thing, and there were pirate copies of it floating about. And I did watch it and thought, oh my God. It's one of those movies that you feel like you need a shower after you've watched it. The only reason I kept that Blu-ray that I bought was not because of the actual film, which I actually have no intention of watching again. It was for all the documentaries on the making of it, which I've heard are just fascinating, and I will take them in one day if I can find it. I searched everywhere last night. I know I've got it because I've watched it, but if you're asking me for what I would class as my least favourite movie in my collection, I would say Last House on the Left by a country mile. So I hope that answers that one for you, David. You've also asked me, who is your favourite actor and actress of all time, and what is your favourite role by them? I've got quite a few here. I've got them listed down. I went on a bit of a search on the IMDb last night. One of my favourites is Malcolm McDowell. Something about his voice and the way he acts. I just love Malcolm McDowell in movies. A Clockwork Orange was superb. He was brilliant in Blue Thunder. He was brilliant in If, which is one that Sam watched recently and I believe he enjoyed. I could just watch him all day. I really could. John Travolta, obviously, for Saturday Night Fever, for Pulp Fiction, and even for a movie called Moment by Moment, which he made with Lily Tomlin in 1979. A romance, like a not a rom-com. I don't think they had rom-coms as such back then, but a love story, and it was a really, really good movie. Not seen it for a long while, but it was really, really good. Jack Nicholson, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You can't go wrong with. The Shining. You can't go wrong with. A Few Good Men was superb. The Last Detail from 1973. He was magnificent in that. Robert De Niro. Obviously, you've got to say The Godfather. It was also good in Heat, which Michael Mann film. I wasn't overly keen on that one, but he was superb in it. And obviously Taxi Driver, which gets better for me with every viewing. Al Pacino, obviously Scarface, a good legal drama called And Justice for All, around about 1979. He was superb in that. Obviously The Godfather again. I've got one called Panic in Needle Park, which stars him, which I need to take a look at. Cruising, which caused another major stink with the censors. That was 1980. That was a William Friedkin film. He's done so many classics. Who else? Humphrey Bogart. If we're going back to classics, I would definitely say my favourite classic actor is Humphrey Bogart. Casablanca, The Big Sleep, Dark Passage was superb. The African Queen. So as actors, I would say that would be they would be my favourites, but there are probably more. Actresses, I saw Jessie Buckley in Wicked Little Letters a couple of months back. Thoroughly enjoyed it. A lady I work with loves Jessie Buckley and has been urging me for ages to watch one of her movies, so I picked that one, loved it. I do need to watch some more of her stuff now. I believe she's done one called Beast, which is superb. Um, but my favourite actress ever has got to be Meryl Streep. I love Meryl Streep. Thought she was brilliant in Out of Africa. Also superb in The Devil Wears Prada. If you've not seen that, superb comedy. Um, let's see, Sophie's Choice, was that one of hers? Yes, I believe it was. Um, but yeah, I love Meryl Streep. Kramer versus Kramer, absolutely superb. Diane Keaton, I enjoy Diane Keaton's movies, especially the ones she did with Woody Allen, Annie Hall, quite a few others. Gillian Anderson, got a real fondness for Gillian Anderson. I always thought she'd done nothing apart from the X Files, and then all of a sudden, I sort of discovered all these other movies that she'd been in and TV series. She's in a series recently called Sex Education, which I always enjoyed. She also did a series about an Irish terrorist or a serial killer. Can't remember what it's called. It's on BBC iPlayer at the moment. That is supposed to be good, but I love Gillian Anderson. Back to the classics. Bette Davis. Oh, whatever happened to Baby Jane? Little Foxes. All sorts. I love Bette Davis movies. Judy Garland. Sorry to be stereotypical, but I do love Judy Garland's movies. Wizard of Oz. A Star Is Born I bought recently because of listening again to a podcast and thought, my God, I can't believe I've not seen that version of A Star Is Born. There's also another version coming out, I think, next month. An old black and white one from about 1937. I didn't even know that one existed. So I want to get that one. I also want to get the Chris Christopherson, Barbara Streisand version. And I wouldn't mind taking a look at the Lady Gaga version, which I've heard is really, really good. Faye Dunaway, oh, Bonnie and Clyde, Network, The Eyes of Laura Mars, all amazing movies. Jamie Lee Curtis, Halloween, obviously. Mother's Boys, superb. Trading Places, I've heard she's brilliant in, but I've not seen it yet. That's lined up for a Christmas viewing. Perfect, with John Travolta as the aerobics instructor. She's just amazing. And of course, how could you possibly forget Maggie Smith? And I still say my favourite role of hers ever, apart from the few episodes I've seen of Downton Abbey, was in a movie called California Suite, which was based on a Neil Simon play. She starred opposite Michael Caine and also a host of other actors. They were all staying at this massive hotel, and it was basically looking into these people's backstories. Just really, really good. Dead funny. Just good. I do want to watch her in A Private Function, and also The Missionary. I believe she's in that one as well. They were two handmade movie, not handmade, but from Handmade Studios, and they're two that I do definitely want to take a look at. So I hope that's answered. Oh, I've got one more here. Hang on, we're not finished with David yet. And how many network releases have you got in your collection, if it is television or film? Oh, wow, that is a question. At a guess, I would say including TV series and film, it's got to be between 50 and 100. It's got to be. I loved Network, absolutely adored their output. I had their site bookmarked on the PC, and at least once a month I would go on to their coming soon section, and it was very rarely that I came away from that not excited about what was coming out and what was coming up. I would say between 50 and 100. It would very, very easily be more. Most of them are classic TV, classic old movies. If I were to show my Network collection off, I would probably be showing off, I reckon, a tenth of my entire collection. That's how many I've got. So yeah, the answer is a lot, David. So thanks ever so much for that, mate. Much appreciated. Thanks for the questions. Always brilliant to hear from you. Keep the questions coming. Right, coming up to 29 minutes. So I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll be back in a minute with Stuart's comments, Steve, our Criterion guy, and everybody else. Back in a sec. And we're back. Right, I've just been putting some of the stuff that I had on my desk earlier back under the TV, and as I was putting the stuff away, I noticed a box behind the TV, a trade pack of tea bags. They were giving these away at work ages ago. They're actually out of date. This is 30th of March 2024, but I'm fairly sure that inner peace is eternal, so I'm going to start using them. But why exactly I put a trade pack of tea bags behind the TV and not in the cupboard where it belongs is another demonstration that I do need to sort my life out. So right, we'll go back to comments. Stuart, morning Stu. Quadrophenia is incredible, one of my most watched films. Its influence on me was incredible in the 80s. I have 3 old restored Vespa scooters. I would love to see pictures of those, definitely, and I'm fairly sure that the other members would love to see them too. If you are a Quadrophenia fan, I think I've shown these off before, but you won't have seen them. I have 3 or 4 books about Quadrophenia that you very may well be interested in. Inside the Making of Britain's Greatest Youth Film, Quadrophenia, A Way of Life. These are all, I believe, still available on Amazon. There's another one coming out very, very shortly, which I'm sure I saw on there, which I'm going to be grabbing as well. That is a cracking book. Just a quick flick through, but you get the gist. I think a lot of it is text, but there are some pictures in there. But this one, Quadrophenia, the complete guide. Look at the size of that. Now this is pretty much going into every tiny little detail, the actors, their lives, the locations, scenes. There is just everything you could possibly wish to know about Quadrophenia, you will more than likely find within the pages of that one. Also, The Making of Quadrophenia. This is a beautiful book. This is, again, these are all available on Amazon. If you love Quadrophenia, you'd be mad not to get these. But these, you know what I mean? Cracking book. Why have I got that one? I don't know why I bought Monty Python's Flying Circus Town. That's not Quadrophenia. There was another Quadrophenia book up there. If I find it later, I'll show it you next week. And also this one, which isn't about Quadrophenia, but if you got caught up in the whole mod revival that Quadrophenia kind of kick-started, this is a good book to get. This was actually written by an old school friend of mine from the 1970s. We went to the same school, Paulette, in Slape Burton. Anthony Gregory. This is a cracking read. I've read this 2 or 3 times and it is absolutely brilliant. He basically got caught up in the whole thing with the scooters, the Parkers, the movie, the soundtrack, the bands that were about at the time. If you love the mod lifestyle and everything that was to do with it, try and grab a copy of this. I don't know whether it's available on Amazon, but you will find it somewhere. But yeah, that's a good book. That's Mod Revival 1979, second generation mods and rockers. So that's those. Let's see. Just watched for the first time from 1977, Capricorn 1, starring James Brolin. Isn't 70s sci-fi fantastic? Loved it. Have you seen Capricorn 1? Oh, excuse me. I have. Many, many times. Absolutely love it. And that is the copy that I've got, which I think I did an unboxing of a few weeks ago. This is from Imprint. This is an Australian import, which includes an uncut extended edition, which I didn't even realise existed. I've not watched this yet, but I have seen it. It is one of my favourite conspiracy theories ever, theory movies, I should say, ever. Just brilliant, and it does make you think. I know, obviously, that the moon landing did happen, but if anything was going to plant a seed of doubt in your mind, it's movies like this. But yes, I love Capricorn 1, and I have seen it. I do remember seeing it. Burton Odeon would have been about 1977 or 8, but loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've had it on VHS, I've had it on DVD, and now obviously I've got it on Blu-ray. Mine went blank. Nightmare on Elm Street's 40th anniversary in the cinema was fantastic. The sound was incredible, and everyone was well behaved with no phones or talking, etc. Maybe people have got the hint that, not serious film goers, but people go to the cinema to watch a film. They don't go to watch mobile phones lighting up like Christmas trees all around them and people talking. Oh God, I don't get into this again. But you know why I don't go anymore. R.I.P. Terry Garr from the masterpiece Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That was sad news. She was brilliant in Close Encounters, as everybody was, and it was sad to hear that she'd passed away. She's done many other things as well. She was excellent in Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman. She's done quite a few other movies as well. But Close Encounters was definitely, for me, the pinnacle of her career. So R.I.P. Terry. Oh, sorry, tickly cough. Just bear with me. Oh, herbal tea. Not in a piece. Not yet, anyway. So thanks for all that, Stu. Keep the questions coming, and as always, brilliant to hear from you. I'm losing the thread here, bear with me. Steve Mack, our Criterion guy. Morning, Steve. I have a story. I went with my friend Mike to see The Doors at the Odeon Marble Arch. We were talking about The Doors last week. It was a real trip because most of the guys in our row were smoking pot, and we both inhaled it and ended up high. It made the film so much better. When in Rome. I love The Doors, and the legend of Jim Morrison is just... if you're talking of legendary rock stars, I'm not talking about these knobheads that you get nowadays, like the Gallagher brothers, who... Personally, I'd just sail them into the deepest part of the ocean and drop them over the bloody side. But that's just me. But yeah, you've got true legends like Jimi Hendrix. I never really got the Hendrix thing. But I know Guy's a huge fan because he named his cat after Hendrix. But you got people like Hendrix, Janis Joplin, The Doors, proper legends. Do you know what I mean? Proper pop stars, as they were. So thanks for sharing that with us, Steve. I cannot imagine you high as a kite. I've watched no end of your videos, and the thought of you just pulling a little spliff out and it did make me smile. So thanks for that, mate. Much appreciated. I've got here, show off what's under the telly. I've done that. Jason, you were saying you actually commented on that picture, saying what you thought was under there. Let's see, yellow pages, a phone book, Papa John's menu, loads of Blu-rays unwrapped, dust, every weekly TV mag because something might have something different in them. Fiddle-dee-dee. You weren't far wrong. You weren't far wrong, Jay. Jason KR, Ginger Ninja. Morning, Jason, and happy birthday for last week, by the way. How did the ghost hunt go? Can't wait to hear about that. You put, for the month of October, I set the goal to watch 31 horror movies that I had not seen or had not seen for a while. And with all the reviews released on my channel, here's the full list. And I need to watch all these. 31 of them to catch up on. Babadook. Not a massive fan, but it wasn't bad. Baghead, not seen it. Cooties. Is, what's his name with the blue eyes? It was in Green Street. Fuck's sake. What was his name? Elijah Wood. Was Elijah Wood in that one? If so, I've seen it. Creep 2004, really good. Demonic, not familiar. Exists, superb found footage movie to do with Bigfoot. I think the best Bigfoot found footage movie was definitely Willow Creek for me. Flight 7500. Not heard of that one. Frontiers. Not familiar with that one. Gonjam Haunted Asylum. Nope. Heard. Nope. Hush. Nope. Immaculate. Want to watch it. It's just dropped on Prime. Terrifier 3. Not on your fucking Nelly. Although I'm on the verge of downloading it. Along with Terrifier 2, and I don't know why. No, forget I said that. Let Us Pray, not familiar. Lisa Frankenstein, heard good things about that one. Night of Something Strange. Nope. Speak No Evil. Can't wait to watch that one. I've heard that James um, McAvoy is superb in that. Open Grave. I think I've seen that one. Orphan. Unpleasant to the extreme. Orphan First Kill. Didn't progress to that one. Raw. I daren't. I know what it's about and I daren't watch it. Spree. That keeps cropping up on Catch Up on Channel 4 and I keep meaning to watch it. Terrified. Not familiar with that one. The Black Phone. I know Jason's a fan of that one. Not seen it though. The Last Broadcast. Saw it a long time ago. The Jersey Devil. Am I right? The Ritual. Not familiar. Taking of Deborah Logan. Heard good things about that. Time Crimes. I've actually got that on DVD, but not got around to watching it yet. I believe Scott, the lovely Scott, was watching that one recently, and I'm fairly sure he enjoyed it. VHS Beyond. I have no idea about that one, but if it's to do with VHS, I'm in. Zombieland Double Tap. Not seen the original Zombieland, so or have I? Is this Jesse Eisenberg? Is this the one with somebody famous turns up in it? Is it Bill Murray or somebody like that? Can't remember. Alien Romulus. It's on my Christmas list, so that is definitely one that I'm going to be watching. Absolutely. That's a hell of a roster of movies, mate. 31 of them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to catching up on all your reviews of those, and those reviews will determine whether I actually watch them or not. So, good to hear from you, mate. As I say, hope you had a good birthday and can't wait to hear how the ghost hunt went. Guy. Morning, mate. Great vid as usual. Thanks, Guy. Sam Smith is a total dick. I've got to be so careful with this. I wanted to rant about it, but I need to think about what I'm saying first. It's one of those engage your brain before you speak things. I don't want to offend anybody. So I've got to be a little bit careful what I say on this. But there are certain things that he comes out with that just rub me up the wrong way completely. The last one was to do with not Robin Hood. Who was it to do with? Spider-Man. I'll read it out when I get a minute. I've actually got it on my phone, and I don't particularly want to go rifling through my phone while I'm doing this, but it's to do with that. I also, as I say, just need to be careful that I stay on the right side of, I don't know, leave that with me. But he is a total dick. He's a complete cock. I can't stand the sight of him. And every time he opens his mouth, he just spews all this absolute rubbish. Not get me into that one, not this week. Eco cases, no. Lee had something to say about this. You were laughing about this because I said they were eco-friendly. It just seems like a good thing to say. I assume they are eco-friendly. That's why they've done them. But for some reason, Lee found that extremely amusing. Jim will fix it. Oh my God. Talk about staying on the right side of... So when I was a kid, I wrote on... Start again. So when I was a kid, I wrote in asking for Alton Towers to myself. Never heard back from them. Bastards. Still, I suppose it's better than Jim popping my cherry. Well said. I had a funny feeling I was going to not bother reading that out, but I thought, do you know what? If you're going to start spouting off about Sam Smith, you might as well go the whole hog. Star Trek is indeed on Paramount, all of it. Every series. The original series is remastered and looks great, especially the exterior space and model shots. I'm really looking forward to getting into the Star Trek journey. I've started this nice and early this morning, so hopefully by the time I've done, which should be in about another half hour or so, I can go in and at least get one episode watched of that. Remakes. I've seen a trailer for a TV series remake of Day of the Jackal starring Eddie Redmayne. It looks great. It's going to be on Sky Atlantic. Check it out. I've seen that trailer and it does look good. I'm a huge fan of the original movie with James Fox. I've seen it so many times and it is just one of the movies. I know it's a long one. It's over 2 hours, but there isn't a single minute wasted. I love Day of the Jackal. As for the remake with Bruce Willis, I don't know. I did watch it. I don't remember being overly impressed with it, but I do need to take another look at it. I believe it's on BBC iPlayer, so I may just do that. But I've got to say, this TV version with Eddie Redmayne does look amazing. Melissa McCarthy is fantastic. I've yet to find out. I think Jason is going to disagree with you on that one. I knew your purchasing restraint wouldn't last. It will do. I just had a bit of a wobble last week, and it was all due to being told about Melissa McCarthy and watching the trailers to her movies and thinking, oh Christ, that looks good. That one looks good. Oh yeah, I've got to have that one as well. But that won't be happening again. I promise. Yeah. You put on last week Elvis Costello, My Aim Is True is a fantastic album. Grab a copy of it. I've got it on Spotify. I've listened to it. Yeah, it isn't bad actually. I think I prefer this year's model. But yeah, My Aim Is True is not bad. If you're a Police fan, I recommend Andy Summers' book One Train Later is a fabulous read. Got it on Audible, listened to a good couple of hours of it. We're still at school at the moment and he's learning guitar, but it's a cracking listen. It's perfect listening for on the way home and getting caught in traffic, which is what I've been doing this week, which is why I've got 2 hours of it to listen to. But yeah, it's cracking. And with Andy Summers actually reading it, makes it so much better. Let's see, I've got here. I've got here that thing about straw dogs. When your parents rented it and you watched it with them. I've got here my thoughts on kids watching adult movies too early. I think I covered that last week, but I don't think I covered it very well. All I was going to say was, which I pretty much said last week, is that kids nowadays, they've got access to absolutely everything on their phones. You know what I mean? If we wanted to watch something controversial, something adult, we had to go out and watch it, and we certainly couldn't watch it until we were, I think some of the guys were getting into the cinema at 16, 17, to watch X certificate films as they were back then. I couldn't, unfortunately. I couldn't get in. I looked far too young until I was literally 18. But yeah, it just seems the whole mystique of it has disappeared because there was something about being able to watch an X certificate movie or stay up late to watch a television programme that had the little square in the corner of the screen which denoted that you were watching something that was either nasty or dirty or controversial. There was just something daring about watching things like that. And at the cinema, when the curtains opened and you see that X certificate, you knew you were in for something for adults only. You don't get that now because kids can just access all this stuff on their phones. So to me, it's... And as for allowing people to watch movies that they shouldn't watch, I don't know. It's every parent's sort of parenting is a difficult thing. I've not been part of it, so I don't know whether I would let any kid of mine watch something like Straw Dogs at that age. I don't know. Because I mean the movie was pushing buttons in 1971, so it was definitely pushes buttons now, because obviously values have changed. But I don't know. I don't think people care that much nowadays about what their kids watch. They just sit them in front of pretty much anything. So, but it's a different world now, very different world to what it was when we were growing up. Let's see, Mark. Thanks for that, Guy, by the way. Much appreciated, mate. Always brilliant to hear from you. Mark. Morning, Mark. So, should a 10-year-old Lee Barber be watching The Thing? No. I would say, well, does this make me a bad parent? Because my 11-year-old daughter has seen both The Terrifier 1 and 2 and all the Saw films. How old? 11? The Black Phone, just to name a few. She is an absolute fucking savage. She loves them. Oh my God. No, it doesn't make you a bad parent at all. If she's got the stomach for it, well, I haven't, obviously. Although, as I say, I'm thinking of maybe taking one of them in. The Saw films, definitely not. I just find them horrible. They're just sadistic, nasty films. But I know people love them. Same as the Terrifier movies. I read this week that basically the Terrifier has done better box office than Joker Folie à Deux. So What does that tell you? Joker Folie à Deux is a crap film, and people have turned to Terrifier 2, 3, I should say. But as for letting 11 years old, have I read that right? Yeah, I must have done. How could you possibly mistype that? What? I can't even imagine watching watching an 11-year-old watching something like that just to see the facial expressions. You got me on that one. Scarface. I've seen the remake a few times, even owned it on DVD, but I actually think that it's shite. Don't get the hype around it at all. And here's where I shock you. I've even seen the 1932 original. Wow. In all its black and white glory, but yeah, that's shite too. Oh. Scarface, it's just one of those movies to me that just there's no generational divide with it. Young people that were not around when it first came out have embraced it over the decades, sort of thing. And I'm constantly surprised when I mention Scarface in conversations with lads half my age at work, and they'll say, "Brilliant movie, brilliant." It's like, what? You've not seen that, have you? You're way too young when that came out, but obviously it's done very well with the younger people. So you've got one up on me actually, because I've not seen the 1932 original. So you've got one up on me with that one. So well done. I'm still stunned by your 11-year-old daughter watching Terrifier 2 and 3 and the Saw films. The Black Phone can just about cope with that one, but those, oh my God, stunned. You round it off with bollocks to work same time next week. You didn't seriously think I was going to leave you with nothing to watch on next Saturday morning, did you? But it will happen at some point, guys. When I do have to work full weekends, I'm definitely not going to be able to record. It's not happened yet, and it may not, but on the run up to Christmas it does tend to get quite busy at work, and they do ask for people to work sort of Saturdays and Sundays if they want to, and I don't like saying no, as you know, so it will happen at some point, I'm sure, but I don't know when. It could even be after Christmas, but not this time. So thanks for that, Mark, much appreciated, and I shall carry that remark about your 11-year-old daughter watching Terrifier 1 and 2 to the grave. Callie, morning Callie. You asked me last week, my question for you this week, what film or films have you changed your mind on upon a second or third watch? I've got some here, just bear with me, let me bring them forward. These were all I could find, really. That's a brilliant question, by the way. Any more that you've got like that, please throw them at me. I'll say the first one. This was an obvious one for me. I put off watching this or these movies for a long, long time because I'm not a great sports fan and I'm not a fan of sports movies. But I watched these and completely changed my opinion because I absolutely loved them, each and every one, the Rocky movies. This is the heavyweight collection. This has got all 6 movies, but not including the Creed movies. The first one, I believe, is it 1 or 2 that I've seen, really enjoyed them. But watching Rocky for the first time was a real revelation for me. I could not believe, again, that I'd left it so long to catch up with this, but I really, really enjoyed Rocky 2, all of them pretty much, but the original was superb, and obviously knowing the story behind it, it just made it all the more special. So that's one that I've definitely changed my mind on. Another one, I've seen this movie twice now. The first time I watched it, I thought it was okay. Enjoyed it, but nothing special. Second time I watched it, got so much more out of it. The Big Lebowski. I know Guy's a fan of this one. I did think the soundtrack was excellent. It just wasn't my kind of film, but I've watched it again recently, probably about 6 months ago, and really, really enjoyed it. I got so much more out of it than the first time I watched it, so that's another. This one I saw advertised. The reputation of this film got here well ahead of the actual film. This was advertised in a lot of film magazines as screening in London cinemas Squirm, and the first time I watched it was on, I believe, VHS. In fact, it was on Super 8. That's how far this goes back. It was Super 8. It was black and white and silent, and I just thought it looked cheap and nasty. Didn't realise, obviously, at the time that it's just the print that I was watching. Watching it on Blu-ray is a completely different thing. Jason hates Squirm because he hates worms the way I hate spiders. But that's another one that I watched the first time, as I say, on Super 8, wasn't impressed. Saw it on VHS, wasn't overly impressed, but watched it on Blu-ray, completely different viewing experience. That's another one. This is one that I mentioned earlier. I absolutely hated the original. I thought it was nasty. I thought it was another sadistic, horrible, vile film. Last House on the Left. But this is a different thing. I did watch it the first time and thought, oh, not really. And I don't honestly know why I bought it on Blu-ray, but I'm glad that I did, because when I watched it again, I thought that is not bad. For a remake, it's a lot glossier. The kills are a lot better. It's not overly bad. I've not watched this one yet. This is two versions, including the extended cut, too extreme for cinemas. So that makes me a little bit wary, but I will be taking that in at some point. But that's one that I didn't think I was going to like, and I actually quite enjoyed. And this one will definitely surprise you. The first time I watched this, I was not impressed with it at all. Didn't really enjoy it. Thought it was possibly, I wouldn't say one of the worst horror films I'd ever seen, but it just did nothing for me. The second time I watched it, I absolutely adored it, and I can't remember what changed my mind about it, but this will surprise you. Carrie, believe it or not. I don't know what it was. There was just something about it that I was not enjoying at the time. Now, obviously, it is an absolute, and I'm going to say it again, a stone cold classic. I never get bored of watching this now, but I always remember the first time I watched it and thinking, oh God, is that it? After all the hype it had. It was released on a double bill, if I remember correctly, with Piranha. And the only one that I actually wanted to watch was Piranha. I couldn't get in. I think it came out, I think this was 1976, I think Piranha was 1978. So I was just too young to get into this X certificate double bill. But I remember watching Piranha for the first time and loving it. Also remember watching this for the first time and thinking, that was pants. Now, totally different opinion. So that's some of the ones that I've watched in the past that I've thought, not bad. So, right, let's see, have I got 2 minutes? Have I got time to go through this? Probably not. I'm going to take another quick break and I'll be back in a sec with the rest of Callie's comments. Fuck's sake, back in a sec. And we're back. Right, on with the comments. Callie, morning Callie, how you doing, love? It's Saturday morning Tony time. When it comes to alien abduction films, one of my favourites is Fire in the Sky, supposedly based on a real case. It most certainly is, based on the case of Travis Walton. It is a true story, well, supposedly true. The film was just, the alien abduction scenes towards the end, when you actually see what they did to him, were just utterly terrifying. I went with my sister to see this at Burton Odeon one afternoon, and I think we both came out of that one shaken up a bit. But it's an absolutely brilliant alien abduction film. My personal favourite is Dark Skies. If you've not seen it, I'll try to remember to show the Blu-ray off next week. It really genuinely unnerved me. It's not based on fact. Well, I imagine it's based on fact, but it's not based on a true story as such. But that is, it comes a close second to Fire in the Sky, without a doubt. Just a brilliant film. Let's see, what else have I got here? Magic is a classic and showcases Hopkins at his best. It most definitely does. If you were to give me a choice right now between watching Silence of the Lambs or Magic, I would go Magic all day long. I absolutely love it. First saw it probably on its TV premiere, so that would have been around about sort of early 80s to mid 80s. Loved it, absolutely loved it. The acting in that is just off the scale. Hopkins is brilliant, Burgess Meredith is superb, and Margaret is good. It's just an all-round good movie, and to me it's definitely one of Hopkins' best. I'm in full agreement with Guy. Christmas TV used to be amazing. Great films, Christmas episodes of your favourite shows like Only Fools and Horses, and so on. But now with streaming services, we've lost a little bit of that Christmas magic. I think we've lost a lot of it. Christmas TV is nowhere near what it used to be, to the point where I will always end up watching Christmas specials on DVD rather than watching what is actually on the TV. Christmas night for me and Rob will probably be Emmerdale, EastEnders, and that is pretty much it, because I don't think there'll be much else on unless the BBC do their usual sort of ghost story for Christmas, which I always enjoy. But even then, I prefer to watch the old ones from the 70s. The Signalman, based on the Charles Dickens short story. A Warning to the Curious. Lost Hearts. Is it Lost Hearts? I think it's called Lost Hearts. Absolutely brilliant and scary as hell back in the day. But yeah, if they put a ghost story on, I shall probably watch that. But I can't think of anything else. All the movies I'll have seen before, it just isn't the same. It just isn't. And I don't think we're ever going to get that back. 5 seasons in 7 days. How did I manage that? Well, very little sleep. Lots of coffee and sheer willpower, but I managed it. I made it to the end of the road with them, they're Winchester boys. Hopefully it'll come back to Prime at some point, so fingers crossed. I hope so, because I would actually like to take a look at that show. From the 10 minutes that I saw of the first episode, the pilot, I really enjoyed it, and I thought there's absolutely no point in getting into this because it's leaving Prime in a matter of days, and there's no way that I'm going to get, what was it, 5 seasons in 7 days or whatever. It just wasn't going to happen. So if it does come back for free on Prime or on Netflix or one of the other channels, I will definitely take it in, because I did enjoy what I saw of that first episode. And then you went on to the Wrath of Khan. Oh, I always say Wrath of Khan is overrated, but it's just a joke I make. I actually do like it. Oh, what a relief. Exactly, hun. I give remakes a bit more of a chance these days, just so I can form an opinion and not just hate it because it's a remake. Apart from the Crow remake, that can just get in the bin. I don't think I'll be bothering with the Crow remake. Reason being, I saw the original for the first time probably a few months ago, and I'm perfectly happy with that one. I don't feel the need to watch another version of it quite so soon. I'm not hearing very good things about it anyway, but it's not one that I'll be making a beeline for, let's put it that way. Oh, The Burbs is a Tom Hanks classic, hon, and definitely worth a watch. I've actually ordered a copy. I saw a copy on eBay for about 12 quid. It's an Arrow release as well, so there's going to be tons of extras in there, and I believe in amongst those extras is a 90-minute documentary on the making of it, so it would almost be certainly worth the 12 quid just for that. So I will be taking a look at The Burbs. Thanks for the Higgis, love, honey. You'll love our Halloween episode. Great episode as always, hon. Thank you very much, Callie. Much appreciated. On the subject of the Higgis Halloween special, I did enjoy it, most definitely. You wanted me to sell you on Kingdom of the Spiders. Where do I start? William Shatner. Cheesy, hammy, absolutely brilliant. It's just my favourite animal attack movie ever. It is one of the finest examples of 70s animal attack movies, which were just brilliant. It's cheesy, it's good fun, it's horrifying if you're an arachnophobe. As I've said before many times, if they were to remake it now, the spiders would most certainly be CGI. In this one, they are not. So when you see somebody that's covered from head to toe in tarantulas, and I do mean literally crawling from head to toe, they are literally crawling with them. I can't even begin to imagine what that must have felt like, being a spider hater myself. I just, oh. But I mean, if you're looking for a movie that, as I say, if you don't like spiders and you want something genuinely alarming, I would say definitely watch Arachnophobia, but almost definitely watch Kingdom of the Spiders as well, because it's just something else. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, get it watched. Definitely, I would say. Remakes of Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. No, just no. Labyrinth is a classic. The only thing they would do if they remade Labyrinth is to CGI the hell out of it. And I think it's just fine as it is. As for Dark Crystal, I've never seen it, so I can't comment on that one. I know what it is. It's like a Muppet movie, but a darker one, isn't it? If that makes any sense. It's one that I've meant to watch for quite a while, but never really got round to it. But if they decided to remake that, they would do pretty much the same with that. I'm sure they would. A Conan sequel that Arnie wants. I only bought the first three, well, the only three Conan films just recently, but I've not watched them yet. I've never seen them. Conan the Barbarian, Conan the Destroyer. There's the one with, I think, with Jason Momoa in, which I think was a reboot. And also Red Sonja, which I don't think is Conan, but it's a very similar sort of thing. I mean, if Arnie wants it and he thinks it can work, who would argue with him? Do you know what I mean? So, I'll know better when I've actually watched the originals. So leave that one, leave that ball in my court. Yeah, Guy lived in the middle of nowhere, so not much trick or treating. Guy, I would have loved that. I've always wanted a cottage in the middle of nowhere, or at least I did until I watched The Strangers. It's just a thing with me. I've always wanted to retire to either the coast or the countryside. So yeah, I envy you having an upbringing like that. It must have been absolutely brilliant growing up there, despite the fact that there wasn't many people to trick or treat. So we did nothing for Halloween, nothing at all. I actually went to watch, as I always do every year, Halloween. I have got it on Blu-ray, but I couldn't be asked to go through all the Blu-rays to find it. So I thought, I know, I'll go on to Virgin, because they're bound to have it on one of their channels. Do you know what? They've got every other Halloween movie apart from the original from 1978. I could not believe it. I thought it was a mistake, so I started channel hopping because I thought it's bound to be on one of them. Nope. So that's all I wanted to do on Halloween, was watch Halloween, and I couldn't do it. So I ended up watching It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, which nobody seemed to know. If you're not a child of the 60s and 70s, you wouldn't know Charlie Brown. But it was a Charles M. Schulz cartoon series. Everybody's seen Snoopy and Peanuts. It's all linked to that. And they used to do seasonal specials, and one of them was It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. So I ended up watching that. I've seen it hundreds of times, but I always try to watch it on New Year's, on Halloween. Same as I do Halloween, but I couldn't do that. So pumpkin pie, never tasted it. I've never fancied the idea of pumpkin. I can't imagine what it tastes like. So that's one that doesn't appeal to me, but you could maybe convince me otherwise. As for Halloween house decorations, do we not find them a little bit gaudy, especially the outside one? Why do people have to go balls out 1,000% and just cover the house in lights and all sorts? Christmas is the next one coming up. I'm fairly certain we're going to see the first Christmas house decorations up very, very shortly. I know somebody has already put the tree and the decorations up within the house 2-3 days ago. But I think some of them look great, don't get me wrong, but I just think people go way, way over the top with them. The best Dracula, it was a choice between Lugosi and Lee, wasn't it? Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee. I couldn't pick between those two, but what about Louis Jourdan, who played Dracula in the BBC adaptation? I think it was called Count Dracula. He was also a Bond villain in Octopussy. What was his name in that? Can't remember his name. That's my stomach. I'm so sorry. And Gary Oldman in the 1992 Coppola version. Frank Langella, who was an excellent Dracula in a production made in, I think it was 1979. Really, really like that one. So yeah, there have been so many Draculas, but given the choice, if I had to pick one, I'd probably say Christopher Lee, because he's the classic one, but there's all these others to contend with. So you were talking about upscaling old movies to HD and filters for new TVs that turn HD movies into sort of old analog quality. I'd love that for the novelty of it. One side of me says that I do enjoy seeing a really old film that you've only seen sort of ropey old copies of, on sort of DVD, upscaled and looking absolutely glorious. But they do tend to lose a little bit of their oldie worldy charm when you do it. This is why I've been reluctant to buy the Universal Monsters Blu-rays and 4Ks, because I think they look perfectly okay in sort of black and white and sort of analog quality. It's what I've always been used to. There is one that I would love to see get a proper Blu-ray treatment. My stomach keeps rumbling. I do apologise. It's because I'm hungry. And that would be Day of the Triffids. I think I talked about this the other week. The only versions of Day of the Triffids I've ever seen have been really old, I think blurry, ropey copies. And I would love to see that get digitally remastered and basically cleaned up to look like a new film, basically because I've not seen it ever looking like that. But Day of the Triffids, if I had to pick one, that would be one that I would upscale, but I definitely wouldn't upscale the Universal Monster movies or any of the other old ones. I don't feel the need to. I remember when the original Halloween first came out, I think it was on the Media label. It was an atrocious print. Looking back on it now, it seemed to be moving ever so slightly in slow motion. It was a little bit blurred. It was an awful print. I don't know where the hell they got it from. So when I first saw it on what I class as proper DVD, it was like watching a brand new film. When I saw it for the first time on Blu-ray, it definitely was like watching a new film. So yeah, I do know that some of these old prints can look pretty dire, but yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. And I love the Victor Miller quote you made, by the way. I've not heard that one before, even though I've seen a lot of the documentaries on Friday the 13th. Apparently Victor Miller, who was sort of throwing the idea of Friday the 13th about, basically said, Halloween is doing absolutely brilliant business, let's rip it off. And the rest is history. So I love that quote. VHS, still got loads of them upstairs. I keep meaning to dig them out and show them off. You've got Alien Resurrection, I believe. I know for a fact some of mine go back further than that. And if I think on at some point, I'll make a note and I'll dig some of them out. I've got some behind me. They're mostly music videos though. Have you got any VHS tapes that you would never ever dream of getting rid of? That's a question I could set myself actually. Probably one of these music ones behind me. That's a good question though. Have you got any VHS tapes that you wouldn't dream of getting rid of? Guy mentioned one, but I didn't catch what it was. If you're watching this, Guy, what was that one that you watched that you said you'd never part with? And as for vinyl horror soundtracks, I need to find mine. I had loads at one time. I had the soundtrack to Alien. I had the soundtrack to Friday the 13th with a 3D cover, all on vinyl. There were loads. The Amityville Horror, I had that one. Halloween, I had that one. And I don't remember either selling them or getting rid of them or giving them away. I'm sure they must be upstairs somewhere, but it's just finding them. But I love my vinyl. I absolutely love it. So leave that one with me. So thanks for all that, Callie. Love that episode, by the way. Looking forward to next week's as always. Jason P. Morning, Jay. Great vid as always. Cheers, mate. Viewing was nice and early today as we have another Bond marathon today, starting with Diamonds Are Forever. We managed the first 6 last weekend, so let's see how we fare this weekend. I said I was going to ask you something. I want to know what you think of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, because that is my favourite Bond movie of all time. Don't know why, it just is. I absolutely love it. I never get bored of watching it. I watched it just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm very curious, with that being one of the most unpopular next to Quantum of Solace, I'd be very curious to know what you think of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, so let me know on that. Sam Smith is the biggest wanker on the planet. Can't stand him. They, it, I say, cunt. I think that's what it is. Like I said before, I've got to be very careful what I say here, because I'm in great danger of offending people if I start spouting off about this. He just winds me up. He just does me head in with that self-satisfied, smug expression he's got while he's coming out with all this absolute bollocks. But leave that with me. I will explode on that one day. Re Quadrophenia, the movie To Be Someone is shite. I turned it off after half an hour. It lasted half an hour more than it should have because I wanted it to be good and it wasn't. Don't hold back, Jay. I did enjoy Pebble and the Boy though. Um, that's one. That's probably the one I'm going to watch, and I will end up watching To Be Someone at some point, just to say I've seen it. Apparently, another friend and his biker mates are extras in that film, so we'll look out for him next time. Both films are free on Prime, I think. This is that guy that you know, the 7 foot giant. Um, he's an extra in that. I'd be curious to figure out which one he was. So, Christmas TV. The decline of Christmas TV is evident in later years on my Christmas TV thread. It's just shite. Although this year will be like the good old days. I'll be looking for contenders for my never seen thread in the double issue TV guides. Although I now have 50 for next year, none of them go past 1989. I can't wait for this. I'm loving this thread, Jay. Please don't stop it. I do have some double bills, trilogies, and about 5 for Halloween. So would love to have about another 10, so I got some spare. I don't want you to ever stop this. I need to start it. I've already watched one that I think is a good contender for a first one, so I'll probably stick a review of that one on at the weekend. No movies whatsoever are by my TV or on the unit. I can't be doing with the clutter. You're very OCD, aren't you? I am at work, just not so much at home. And when I take movies to watch downstairs, they're on a chair away from the unit. As you saw by the pic I posted, nothing is on. As you saw by the pic I posted, nothing is on the unit apart from the Sky TV box and Blu-ray player. Not even the remotes. They are under the coffee table next to the sofa. Everything has a place. I've taken the Bond films downstairs today and will bring them straight back up later. You are so well organised. I wish I could stop my stomach from rumbling. I was in WH Smith in Tamworth the other day, not been in one for years. I saw the Beano and Dandy annuals and couldn't resist having a glance. They don't look the same though. I've had a quick look through that Beano Christmas one that I picked up a couple of weeks ago. They ain't the same. They really ain't. Just not. I would love to go on eBay, and I'm going to do this and see if I can locate some of the original 70s Christmas issues of some of the ones that you mentioned here. I used to read the Dandy, the Beano, Core. I used to get Core, Whizzer and Chips, and that one. Beezer, Buster, yep, that one. My dad used to read them on the shitter too. To think back now, that's horrible. But back then it was normal. He used to read Victor and Warlord, which, as you can imagine, I wouldn't read because they looked shite. These were the war comics, weren't they? I did used to read AD, was it 2000 AD? The one that had Judge Dredd in. I used to read that one. I used to read a few of the Marvel ones. Planet of the Apes was a Marvel comic. I got that for a while. Star Wars Weekly, which I think I've still got up in the attic. Some Spider-Man ones. A few superhero ones, but not so much the war ones. Talking of shite, oh God. The movies I was showing off next week that are going to kick off my Melissa McCarthy season at some point. Nice Guys, shite. Tammy, shite. The Boss, shite. Identity Thief, shite. Spy, good. The Heat, very good. That's it for today. Enjoy your week, but not your weekend at work though. It actually wasn't that bad. I only worked for 4 hours, so it wasn't that bad. I just didn't have time to make proper notes or anything, which is why this is a bit all over the bleeding place today. Never seen it. Week 44 of 100. The Burbs. Talking of that, we were talking about that a few minutes ago. An overstressed suburbanite and his neighbours are convinced that the new family on the block is part of a murderous satanic cult. As it was mentioned in today's vid, it only seemed right to do this one today. I've tried to watch this before but didn't get past the half-hour mark. Yes, I've been doing the half-hour test for over 30 years. I can't say I blame you. This time I was determined to see it through. First half hour was, just as I expected, shite. Watched the rest, just so I could say I'd seen it, and no surprise really, the whole film was shite, but it's done now. Mark said not seen this one, no surprise there. Oh God. And I think that's it from you this week. So thanks for that, Jay. It's always brilliant to hear from you every week. Let's see. I watched 50 First Dates this week. I could probably class this as my first watch thread. So I'll do a little written one for the website, for the group at the weekend. But I got no end of comments on this one when I said I was going to watch it. Caroline went to the pictures to see this and not seen it since. Enjoyed it at the time, but I agree with Guy, not one of Sandler's best. nor Barrymore's. Mark, thumbs up from me. Kerry, one of the best films I've ever seen. Tone, really? Guy, it's a good one, but not as good as some of Sandler's films. James Sanders, good film and funny with a sweet ending, mate. Hello, James. Haven't heard from you for ages. How you doing? Jason P, good film. Watched it 2 or 3 times. Lee, 5 thumbs up from him. I enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was just a sweet, good-natured sort of comedy, slight drama. I thought it was going to be a screwball comedy, which is why I didn't think I was going to like it. It was anything but. Drew Barrymore was just brilliant. I'm even beginning to get won over by Adam Sandler. That's the first Sandler movie that I've watched ever. And I've got... What recommendations do you give me then, guys? Here's a question for you. What recommendation will you give me to watch if I want to continue watching Adam Sandler films? There's only one that I've really heard about that I definitely want to watch, and it's a drama that he did a couple of years ago called Uncut Gems, which I've heard he's absolutely amazing in. But as for his early ones, I've never seen any of them. So what you're going to recommend? Tell a lie. I saw a little bit of the one. Doesn't he adopt a kid? And basically, does he adopt a kid or is it his kid? And he's basically teaching him all sorts of fatherly things like how to piss in doorways and stuff like that, which I can't say I was overly impressed with. But yeah, just shoot your recommendations at me. I think that is pretty much it. I've got a few bits here that I just want to show off before I disappear on you. Let's see what I've been buying this week. I've been a little bit more restrained this week, but not much. Jay, you'll be happy I finally got that. I'm just waiting for the yearbook extra to come out now. I've got a funny feeling I might have pre-ordered it. I need to check on that. But this is going in the car first thing in the morning. You watched X and Pearl at the weekend, a couple of weeks back actually, and you really, really enjoyed them. I definitely want to take them in. I've got X and Pearl on Blu-ray, so it only seemed right to grab a copy of Maxine on Blu-ray. Whether I decide to keep them after I've watched them or not, I don't know. But when I've watched these, I'll be comparing notes with you. I've already got your notes on what you thought of them on here. I'll just keep putting them off until I've actually had a chance to watch them. This is the one I was talking about last week. This is over 4 hours long, I believe. This is a director's cut of Gettysburg. Who's in this? Tom Berenger, Jeff Daniels and Martin Sheen. I believe this is along the same lines as Glory with Matthew Broderick and Morgan Freeman, which I was showing off last week. And this kind of came up on the same page on Amazon as that one was on. And I thought, you know what, I really want to look at that, but I want the fullish version that I can get. And I'm sure this is 3 hours or is it 4 hours? 271 minutes. That's nearly 4 hours. That's a long ass film. So I've got to set aside a morning for that one. This one, I was listening to Kermode's podcast with Simon Mayo last week, and they were talking about this movie. I had never heard of it, but I tell you what, the way they were talking about it, they were basically saying it's one of the best animated films that they'd ever seen. Now, as you know, I don't really do animated movies. I don't know why, they just don't really do much for me, but I've determined to give this one a go. It's called Robot Dreams. It's a bittersweet comedy, and I'm quoting here. Bittersweet comedy. Robot Dreams follows Dog, who is lonely, whiling away long evenings in his Manhattan studio apartment. Tired of his solitary life, he decides to purchase a friend, Robot, a fun-loving companion. After an idyllic day on the beach, they soon become separated. Devastated at the loss of his friend, Dog does everything in his power to get Robot back. Apparently this is going to have me in floods of tears by the end of it. I can't wait to watch this. I've just heard so much about it, and every review that I've read of this has been glowing and positive, so looking forward to getting onto that one. Mark, remember you put a little video on of Crazy Sperm? Do you remember that? And I said, I really want that film. Guess what? I've got it. It's part of this. It's called Chillerama. This is a German import, and it's uncut. And it's basically just a series of comedy sort of sections, mini stories, and that one is one of them. And I thought, do you know what? They reckon the rest of it is even worse, so I had to have a go at this. So I'll let you know when I've watched it what it's like. But it's called Chillerama. The back of it is completely in German, so I can't even read any of it. But if that section is anything to go by that you put on, I'm in for a bit of a treat with that one. A couple of books. Scandals of old classic Hollywood. Love reading stuff like this. Basically all the scandals. What have we got here? Fatty Arbuckle's descent from Hollywood royalty, fueled by allegations of a boozy orgy turned violent assault. Why Mae West was arrested and jailed for indecency charges. That actually doesn't surprise me that much. The heartbreaking story of Montgomery Clift's rapid rise to fame, the car accident that destroyed his face, and the long suicide that followed. There's loads of stories in here. I'm looking forward to reading that. And this one I spotted by accident. This is to do with music, film and TV between 1975 and 1986. And it's called Looking for a New England. Let's see, what happened to UK cinema and TV when Swinging London ended? Looking for a New England covers the period 75 to 86, from Slade in Flame to Absolute Beginners. That is going to be a brilliant read. I can't wait to get into that. Sam, if you're watching this, I think this one's right up your alley. Absolutely. And a few magazines as usual. Got the latest issue of Scream, which you've got Friday the 13th, Salem's Lot, Jaws 2, the Revenge of Frankenstein, Smile 2, the Psycho franchise, and much more. I'm trying to lose a bit of weight, hence the air fryer. Oh yes, right, very quickly. I have used the air fryer. I know you don't believe me, but I have. And what I'll be doing, I was going to video the unboxing of it and the first thing that I did in it and all that, but I completely never thought about it. But I have used it. I did a joint of beef in it yesterday. It did not come out perfect, but I guessed the timing and I guessed the temperature, so it's my own stupid fault. But I'm going to try something very shortly. I need a little win, so I've got a little recipe with 2 ingredients. I'm going to try that in a bit, but I'm planning to lose weight in the new year, so I'm not going down the old slimming world, as in going to groups and getting weight and all this sort of thing, but I'm just going to take on a few of their little tips. And also, I thought I'd get that air fryer Christmas. You've got all sorts in there, so now that I'm into it, latest issue of SFX, which includes Wicked, Being Human, Heretic, which is the new Hugh Grant film, which is supposed to be brilliant, Doctor Who, Percy Jackson, Mork and Mindy, Star Trek and Blake 7. Can't wait to get into that. And the latest issue of my favourite magazine, Intermission. This is Talking Pictures TV's official magazine. Absolutely love this. It's always a cracking read, and the nostalgia hit that you get from this is just second to none. So, right, that's it, folks. That is all I've got for you this week. Thanks ever so much for joining me. And once again, thank you for your unwavering support. You never ever let me down. You leave me loads of comments. You leave me loads of questions. You interact with me. It's just, I can't fault you lot. I just can't fault it. So thank you so much for sticking with me, and for watching me, listening to me prattle on week after week. It can't be easy some weeks. So as I say, thanks ever so much for joining me. Have a brilliant week, folks, and I will be back the same time next week with hopefully a slightly shorter edition, because I think this is going to probably run over an hour and a half, and I didn't plan on that, especially this weekend. So have a great week, folks. Thanks again for joining me. If you've liked the video, subscribe and all that sort of thing. Have a great week, and I will talk to you all again soon. Take care. Ta-ra.